welcome to Talk RX with Dr. Neha. This week I have a special guest, Stephanie, who is a home health nurse, and she has been so gracious and willing to share her questions so that all of you can learn. Welcome, Stephanie.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
Yeah, so good to see you. So we saw each other maybe a couple years ago when you were so gracious and had me and my family over to your house. I haven't seen you in like 3-4 years.
Exactly.
And I teach about communication. And
Yes.
when you were coming, what I had asked is to have you think about a communication question.
Okay.
So what have you been thinking about?
Oh, there's a lot.
Have you been thinking about what? Yeah.
Yes, there's a lot of things, but to try to narrow it down, that's been difficult.
Okay. So go ahead and just tell me whatever's top of mind.
Okay. I guess communication problem, you mean between me and somebody or me and my husband, that kind of communication
It can
question?
be. It can be you and yourself, you with your spouse, you at work, whatever.
Okay. I guess my communication question is I don't understand why it's so hard for me to try to get my self-organized or try to keep my work area or my office area tidy. I just let things pile up, and then I get so overwhelmed I can't even tackle it.
Okay, so what I love is when your husband was here and
Yes.
his experience was what happens to him when that happens. So this is going to be really good. This is going to be really interesting because it's rare that I get both parties, first of all, separately to be able to talk about it, but secondly, it's clearly an issue because you're coming at it from both angles. And so it'll be beautiful. I might have to run these back to back. I think this will be good.
Okay.
Okay. So you're saying, why is it so hard for me to keep my areas clean? So you're a home health nurse.
Yes.
And what has been the consequence of you not, or throwing things out, or, getting rid of things too soon? Have you ever had that happen?
Yes, I have.
Okay, tell me about it.
I've thrown consents away or shredded consents where I had to go back out to the home and get them re-signed.
Okay, that's a big undertaking.
Yes.
And
Yes.
a home health nurse, that would be things like do not code, do not intimate, like DNR,
Right.
DNI, things like that.
Right.
Right? Which are huge.
Yes.
Huge issues and legal issues too.
Right.
Okay. So tell me, in your experience growing up, what was organization like in your family?
Well, my mother was a homemaker.
Yeah.
And she did books for my father. My father was he was in the oil business. He was an independent oil jobber.
Okay.
And
she did his paperwork? Is that what you said?
well, she did his books until he grew, and then she couldn't do them anymore. Then he had to have an accountant, and then he had a CPA and all that kind of stuff. But my mom did all the books for him while he was
Initially.
growing. Exactly. And
Okay.
then when it got too big, then he had to hire more help.
Okay. And how were your parents around organization?
Well, my mother, everything was neat and tidy. My father's desk was a mess, but he knew where everything was on his desk.
Uh-huh. And do you kind of feel that way?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And if you asked him where something was, he could get it. And when my dad's secretary or my mom tried to clean up his desk, he just, it didn't go well.
Got it. So the interesting piece here is that you are your dad,
Yes.
right? Because do you usually know where things are?
Yes, I do.
Okay. And
do.
what you're saying is your husband is more like what? Your mom? Mm-hmm. Much more organized.
Yes.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so was this the source of fights at home? Was it ever like, I can't find anything, or you got to keep this clean, or
No.
No one spoke about it.
No. Because the house was my mother's domain.
Okay.
And so the house was neat and tidy. At the office, my mother's had her area was organized, and my dad's had another room where his office was, and his was messy, but he knew where everything was.
Okay.
And it didn't cause them any problems.
Okay. So there was never any discord about it. Mm-mm. So now you get married. You've been married
almost 21 years.
Okay. And for the most part, a pretty awesome marriage. Mm-hmm. And then this thing comes up, which is like, why do you want me to keep my stuff all tidy?
Right.
Right? And you're thinking to yourself, listen, leave my office alone. It's my domain.
Exactly.
The rest of the domain is fine.
Exactly.
Okay. So in your family, siblings, How are you in relation to your siblings?
In what way?
In a mess way? In a messy...
I'm the neatest of all three.
Oh, you're the neatest of all three.
Yes.
So you get married to someone who's more like your mother. But the truth is, of the three of you, you're the rock star.
Yes.
And when you're not the rock star, you've had to pay the price because you've had to go back and get consents redone.
Right.
And you probably go back and do it. It's a little more
Yes.
work, but you do it. Okay.
Yes.
Now, the experience here is of why can't you get everything all clean? Well, first of all, it's the way you were raised and it was considered fine. There were no fights about it.
Right.
And so you don't even consider it an issue.
No.
But is it an issue if it's an issue to your partner?
I guess so.
Because no matter what, it distances you slightly in your relationship from someone you love,
That's true.
right? And so there's this way where it could be more peace and joy, and it's less peace and joy,
Yes.
right? And so the idea would be really thinking through, what is it besides the quote mess that you're doing something wrong that it's triggering in him? Right? So it's going to be something else that it's triggering in him that's not really about the physical mess.
Okay.
Okay. So that's the first piece. The second piece is there's danger for you throwing things away in your mind.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yes.
So usually when people hold on to things, they think they hold on to physical things, but it's really about an emotional piece underneath. Because your worry is, if I don't keep this,
I'm going to need it.
I'm going to need it, but I don't really know what I need, so I'll keep it all.
Exactly.
And that was fine, right?
And I have to be in the mood to throw things away.
And what kind of mood is that?
Well, sometimes I'm just so overwhelmed with work, I just don't want to do anything. I don't want to throw stuff away. Instead of, Tom, as soon as you get home, it's let's deal with it and do it. For me, it's like, you know what, I'm too tired, I'm too exhausted, I just don't want to do it right now. And then it just piles up.
Yeah, so he's a doer, and he kind of he's kind of like a self-cleaning oven. Like, it's constantly getting cleaned up, right?
Yes.
And you're more of a batch processor.
Exactly. Yes.
You say, like, let me get through all my stuff, and then I'll spend a weekend doing this.
Right.
Okay. So there's definitely a difference in styles,
Right.
right? It's not that you don't think it's important, but I think what would be really important is you getting curious about what's underneath it for your partner.
Okay.
Right? Because I think there may be ways to set it up, right? That will not only have you not feel overwhelmed, but will also create a system that will allow him not to have that trigger happening.
Okay.
Right?
Yes.
So organizing and mess and not mess, right? It all looks like it's a physical thing. But I even, there's all the way to people, and I'm not saying this is you because it's not, but people like not throwing away anything. Like my parents have everything they had since 1965 when they moved here from India.
Wow.
It's all in their house.
Where do they store it all?
Oh, they
big
have
house.
a huge house, and now it fills the basement, and, and it's all in case they ever need it.
Right.
Need what? Right? Like, you haven't touched it in 10 years, like, you don't need it. It's more an emotional soothing that's happening. And so I think there's a way that you're really identifying. There's a way that you go into overwhelm, overload, and then you wait until you have a break.
Right.
And I wonder if what it would feel like to just insert a daily break for you.
A daily break to
Meaning
do the
just
cleaning, or
no,
to
no,
just
no.
just time for me.
Yes.
To regroup,
Rejuvenate.
Yes.
You give
Right.
so much. If you do home health, you're taking care of the sickest people.
and their
Right?
families
And their
everything
families
that goes along. Yes.
And so you're giving to everybody else, and there's this part of you that's just so depleted.
That's true.
And so what's one thing that you can do to take care of you?
I guess eat right and exercise.
Okay, and I want one thing that you can add. Like for me, just one thing. Like now I drink a green juice in the morning. Like, I mean, that's simple,
Wow.
right? So I didn't used to do it, and now it's the one thing I feel like I'm loving myself and
Wow.
nourishing myself. No matter where I am, I figure out how to get a green
And
juice.
that's such a small thing.
Small thing. And that's what we got to do. We don't want to start by overwhelming you, because saying eating right and exercising, that's huge
Right,
for
yeah,
some,
that's true.
right? one thing. Tell me one thing you can do to take care of yourself.
I don't know. What are some other choices?
It could be drinking water. It could be once a month getting a massage. It could be, a massage or a facial. It could be walking on the beach. You live in such a beautiful place.
It's true.
It could be anything that rejuvenates you, that you make it as important to take care of you as you make it to take care of others.
Okay.
Okay? And you don't have to answer it right now.
Oh, okay.
If it's not coming to you, just think about it and make it small.
Right.
Right?
That's a good idea.
We're not going to take anything away from you. We're just going to add one good thing in.
Okay.
Sound
Be kind
good?
to self. Yes.
Okay, here we go. So your takeaways.
My takeaways is to try to find what's going on underneath,
Like sometimes what's happening on a physical level is not
Right.
what's actually happening.
to do something good for myself, reward myself some way, once a day, once a week, once a month, however. And then,
That has you giving a
Right.
little bit to you.
right.
Right?
And then just trying to work on the process a little bit at a time
Yeah.
and not to be so overwhelmed.
I love it. Thank you. So
Thank
good
you.
to see you.
Thank you. Good to see you too.
And for all of you out there that know you get yourselves overwhelmed in the process, or you have a way of batch processing what's happening where you give to other people, and then it's like the metaphorical falling on your bed, until you recover, and then you spend the next period of time trying to recover from that. What's one kind thing that you can do for yourself? Mine's a green juice each day, right? Maybe it's water, paying attention to how much water you drink, or giving yourself one time during the day to have tea where you just sit and it's you time. So whatever it is, I hope you come up with one item to take care of yourself. Thanks for tuning in, and until next week.